Do you remember when you started to feel ashamed or shameful?
I just got on my knees and I was crying out to God and saying, I need you to help me. I don't know what to do.
Why do you feel like that we don't talk a lot about masturbation though?
Shame tries to silence us.
Did you ever consume porn?
I knew that if I wanted to go on the computer and watch porn, then my whole family would hear the internet being switched on.
What would you recommend someone who is currently struggling with shame or with addiction to masturbation, to porn? Welcome to another special edition of Sunday Night on Air. As you noticed, I'm speaking English, and this is because I'm joined by Emanuelle Morier from the ICF Bull pastor, right?
Yes.
Lead pastor at ICF Bull. So you speak French and English, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, no
but
German.
We're going to do it in English for all our people joining us and listening to us today. So I want to say, one thing I admire about you is how you're so authentic on stage. You have like the great humor that we talked actually beforehand about, but I love your authenticity, the hard word right there. But I love that, and I'm so excited to have you on our podcast today because I feel like you're the person to talk about those deep things that we're going to talk about today.
I hope
But
so.
as a start, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, who were you when you were a teenager? Like, what is your background? Where are you coming from? Or like, who were you at 16, 17? Like,
Yeah, it's a good question to start with. So I'm half English, half Swiss. And so I grew up in England from the ages of about 4 until 18. And who was I as a 16-year-old? I was a teenager, so I thought I knew everything, but actually I didn't know much. No, it was a tough period. 16 years old. It was I was very lost in my insecurities, and It was not the best of periods, but it was. I learned a lot about myself in that period.
would you say, or like, how did you view yourself back then? Or like, even, it's not just 16, like even a bit before or afterwards, like in your teenage years, like how did you view yourself?
That is such a good question. I think as a teenager, sometimes we're very lost. Like, we're trying to discover our identities, we're trying to discover who we are, and so we try and cling on to things that make us feel secure and to make us feel like we have stability. And so I think it was a period where I was very lost, but trying to make myself feel like I was sure and trying to make myself feel like I was convinced by what I was doing or who I was. But yeah, there's a tension in that period of time. Yeah.
I feel like one emotion or one thing that a lot of teenagers can relate to is the topic of shame, right?
Yeah.
So do you remember when you started to feel ashamed or shameful? Like, do you remember when that started in your life, or do you feel like it just came at some point? It's a deep story because it's the moment where I was touched inappropriately by another girl, which really, I remember this moment where shame entered my life, and I was confused and felt guilty, and there were so many emotions, and I think that was really the moment where things came crashing into my life of shame and all those questions that come with it. Yeah. Were you able to talk to someone when that happened, or not really?
No. It took years before I was able to talk with. I eventually talked with my mum. I talked about this at the conference, but no, I think shame tries to silence us. And so you don't want to, it's giving control to someone else as well. It's letting go, and I think sometimes when something happens in our life, we don't want to say it out loud because we don't want to admit that it's part of our story as well. We don't want it to be a stain on our life, and so we try and cover it up and pretend like, no, it's not there. And we're afraid to bring it to the light because then it becomes part of our story and it becomes a part of who we are, and we don't want that. So it took a while before I was able to really put the words on it, because I think as well the devil tries to kind of hold us down and tries to make sure that it doesn't come out, because he knows the power of it coming out.
So you were saying that you weren't able to talk right away about this. How did you
see that this, what you experienced, started to affect you? Like, what happened, or like, how did your life change after that situation where you feel like shame entered your life the first time?
What happened is that, I think I was very young, and so it was a moment where I was, like I said, very lost, and all of a sudden it opens yourself up to your body, to discovering, and so this is when I got caught up in masturbation, because I think no one really talks to us. I was young as well, so it was not a good situation, but no one like kind of teaches you this kind of stuff, and so you're very lost about that, the whole body and everything. And so I think I got caught up in all of this kind of searching to discover myself, and also I think I was in a home where I experienced secondary trauma, and so it was also this is how I think I also became addicted to masturbation, is that I was running away from the brokenness I was feeling inside of myself as well, and I was scared, and I think there was things that I was trying to cover up, and so from that moment on, I kind of went into things where it got worse with the masturbation and everything, and so I think you even more, you don't want to talk about it, because you want to get out of it, but you can't, and you see the spiraling, and so you want to try and get out of it yourself.
Did it like make you feel less ashamed for the moment when you were like doing masturbation, or like being in that like addiction of masturbation? Like, what did it tell you, like, or why do you feel like you got there, and why became it an addiction? I think you get trapped. Like, I think there's a lot of that in the world as well. We are broken. We are not well, and so we are searching for something that brings us relief, for something that brings us pleasure, for something that covers up what we're feeling. And so I think often we turn to different things. There's so many different things that we can get drawn into. But for me, masturbation was one of the things that got me into trying to escape from the brokenness, from the shame, from the things that I was experiencing. And so it was a way of getting pleasure. It was a way of having something, joy, something else, but ultimately it didn't bring me joy, because there was always so much more guilt and more shame. Why do you feel like that we don't talk a lot about masturbation though? Because it's not usual, and I think this is not a typical day-to-day situation that someone asks you about masturbation, right? So especially as women, I feel like there is still, it's a huge taboo topic, and it's not really talked about. As you said yourself, like you weren't really educated about all those things, about discovering your body and all those things. Like, why do you feel like it's still such a taboo topic to discuss this topic or to talk about it?
It's a deep conversation. It's tough, because it's not something that we talk about. It's true. I think there's tension in the world today as well, because there's so much light on sexuality and acceptance, so there's also tension in ourselves as well, like in the Christian world as well, as in like, well, is it okay? Is it bad? Like, and it's a tough subject to come on as well, because it's very personal, sexuality, and so as soon as you say something which is like kind of off, you'll get attacked or like cancelled. It's such a tough subject, and I think I don't know, I guess we want to keep it for ourselves because it's personal and it's good, and I completely accept that, like, sometimes some things need to stay inside, but I think that some people need to speak up and some people need to talk about it, because there's so many people who are hiding things, who are ashamed, who are scared of what is in their past or what is in their present right now. And they feel, I think one of the things which is also very tough is that you feel alone when you're in certain situations or certain things that you've got into. You feel like you're the only one who is in that situation. And I think for women with masturbation,
it's much more of a man topic. I don't know why, but I mean, even in the men, I guess, I'm not sure they talk about this every day. Let's be serious.
I don't
but
think so.
I think it's more kind of accepted, whereas women, we don't talk about this stuff. Like I've never, I think this is the first conversation about masturbation I've ever had. Like really, because I think if you're in it, then you feel like you don't talk about it. So you feel like, well, I must be the only one experiencing this. And so you don't want to bring it to the light because you don't want to be shamed. And that's what the devil tries to do as well. He tries to isolate you. He tries to make you feel like you're alone. And as soon as you do start talking about things, it's amazing how people are like, oh, me too. Oh, okay, that's a challenge for me as well. And I had this because I had a miscarriage, and when I'm someone who tries to be authentic, like you said, and so I talked about it very quickly, and it was crazy to me how, as soon as I talked about it, women were like, "Oh, me too, me too, me too." And before, like, it's just not something that we talk about. Wow. But as soon as you bring it to the light, then it means that other people can talk about it. But yeah, I think masturbation it's a word we don't want to say. It's something which is shameful. It's something which is secret, and so we feel like we can't talk about it. But I think it would help so many people if we were, and as a church as well, if we had spaces where we could talk about it. Because I think that's one of the challenges we have as a church, is there aren't spaces where we talk about sexuality and like what we're experiencing, and like as well, like the mistakes we made, like, you know, like there's so many like stuff that goes on behind closed doors, and we don't talk about it because we don't know what to do with it. And I think it would help so much if there were more spaces to do that,
to talk about it.
Yeah.
What would you say, like, did you remember that when you started with masturbation, probably you weren't like, oh yeah, I'm getting addicted to this, but at some point you said yourself that you got addicted to it, like do you realize like how that process went, or when you realized that you were addicted, or was it just at some point you realized I'm now addicted, or like how did this come, you know?
I think when you get into anything at the beginning, you don't realize. I think in order to like sin in a way, like your consciousness makes it okay. I think if you knew it was bad, you wouldn't do it. So I think in a way your consciousness makes it like, oh, it's okay, it's just this one time, or like you have something which is like, oh no, it's gonna be okay. And so I think I don't think I realized at the beginning. I never felt good. I never felt like this is
right.
Yeah, that I didn't have. But I think I didn't realize until a while that I was like, okay, I have an issue because like I can't get out of this. I think at the beginning you're like, oh, it's okay, I can stop. And I think when you start to realize, actually, no, I can't get out of this, then you start realizing, okay, maybe I have an issue. Yeah.
Did you feel even more shame when you realized that like you can't even get out anymore, or was it just like all along some type of shame?
Yeah. I think it's so tough when you realize you can't get out of it. I think that's the moment where you can turn to God as well, because I think you have to get to a point where you're like, I'm not going to get out of this by myself, before you turn to God often. And so, yeah, there was more shame, but ultimately that's what led me to go, okay, I need someone, I need a higher power, I need God to come in and help me out of this, because by myself it's not going to happen. But yeah, there was shame all through the process. And yeah, I think masturbation is like such a tough subject, because there's like, I don't think there's black and white. I think it's very nuanced. I saw an article by a psychologist who talks about this, and who is a Christian psychologist. It's really interesting what she says about the fact that like sometimes it can help in certain situations, but like at the same time she was really hesitant about like saying like, you know, good or not good. And I think what you need to ask yourself with masturbation is, why are you doing it? What is your goal? What are you thinking about? What is the aim of this? And I think when you realize that you're doing it from a place of brokenness, you're doing it from a place of lust, you're doing it from a place of insecurity, of depression, of anxiety, then then you need to ask yourself questions, because I think it's rare for it to be really healthy, because often it does come from those places of feeling lost and yeah.
So what would you say, what were your feelings, or where was your addiction to masturbation coming from?
Yeah. For me, I think I was very insecure. Like I said, I grew up in a home where my dad had experienced trauma, and so I had secondary trauma. I didn't know it at the time. Like, it's only now knowing and having that retrospect that I can see it. But I grew up with that, and I think I was so lost and so kind of insecure and lost. And so I was searching for something to give me an escape as well, and to just kind of like pleasure and just get out of some of the stuff that I was experiencing. And from the shame as well, I guess I don't know, it's a kind of a vicious circle, because you try and get out of the shame and you end up trying to cover it with like even more. And so yeah, it's a vicious circle, but I think that's where I got caught up in it, because I just wanted to escape, and that was my way of escaping. Yeah.
Did you ever consume porn? Did you ever get into porn as well?
So this is a funny story, because I'm actually really thankful, but no, I've never consumed porn. Or I don't know how you say that, but never watched porn.
No.
I think that's a French word I've just used.
No, watch is perfect.
Consumed, I don't know. Anyway, basically I was saved from porn because I'm old, you see, I'm a millennial. And so I had a computer in my room, and I was so tempted one day to watch porn. And we had the internet system at the time for all the young people, Gen Z. Basically, the internet, when you switched it on, it went... Gen Z don't know this? No. I did. I knew that if I wanted to go on the computer and watch porn, then my whole family would hear the internet being switched on.
Oh, wow.
With that... And so I was like, well, I can't do it, and so it really, I'm so thankful for internet noises till this day. Wow. That I didn't watch porn because of this, because there was times where I was so tempted. Wow. And it saved me. So that's one of the things that I'm so thankful, because I know that it would have been even tougher, and I see the effect that porn has on so many people. In sexuality, in how people, how it distorts sexuality. How many unhealthy things it brings into relationship as well.
So you were talking about like all those, the whole time that you were in all of this. When was your breaking point, or like your turning point? That you started to get out of it, or like was there like one day and then you were healed, or like was it a process, a journey, and how did that look like for you?
So it was a lot of me trying to get out of it by myself, like I said, like of me going, this is the last time I'm gonna manage. And I think one day, I remember the day, but I don't remember what set me off, but I just remember going, I can't do this. Like, this is not healthy. I just feel so bad every time, and I've tried myself and it's not working. And I had that kind of breaking point of tears, and I just remember this is the moment I gave my life to God, because I just got on my knees and I was crying, and I was crying out to God and saying, I need you to help me. I don't know what to do. And I just remember, I've talked about this in the preach, but I just remember God saying, I'm making you whiter than snow. And I just remember feeling just completely cleansed, completely pure, completely forgiven. Wow. And at that moment, I just completely gave my life to God. And yeah, that was the moment where, and I feel very lucky because it was miraculous. And from that day on, like I never masturbated again. And so I know it doesn't happen to everyone, and I don't know. I think it was just the moment of realization of going, I have a problem and I need help. That kind of was the moment that just turned things around and yeah, set me free.
And were you able to talk about your struggles before that point or after that point with people?
Yeah, so before, no. Like I said, I was trying to do it by myself, and then after, it took time. I think shame takes time to heal from, and it's still an ongoing process. I see a psychologist as well, and it's an ongoing process to take apart the pieces of the puzzle and see which parts don't function and what you need to replace it with. And so it took time for me to kind of come to terms with it and feel okay to talk about it. And so eventually I talked about it with my mum, but that was like the only person I think who I really kind of talked about it until the conference.
Wow, really?
I think so, because it was funny because the conference was a battle for that message, because I only decided I was going to talk about masturbation the Monday before the conference.
Wow. And
so I'd had God telling me, like, talk about this subject, and I was doing what I talked about in my messages. I was hiding behind my strength, and I was just like, no, we don't need to talk about that. It's all good. And on the Monday before the conference, I just felt like I was saying, no, like, weak and vulnerable, like, you can do this, and this will help people. And so I remember going, okay, let's have courage and let's talk about it. But yeah, it's something, like I said, you feel alone, and I don't hear any other women talking about it. So you're like, well, do other women experience it? But well, I went and had a look at the statistics. We were talking about this, and it's crazy because in terms of masturbation, it's like 92% I think of men. I mean, it depends on the surveys and everything, but there's like 92% of men who masturbate, and I saw that it was like around 76% of women who masturbate, which is massive numbers. Yep. And yet no one talks about it. Like I said, I've never heard anyone else talk about this issue. And so I think when you have to almost be the first person to come out and say it before other people will be like, oh, me too. Oh yeah, me too. This is an issue. And yeah.
Did you talk to your husband about this topic beforehand?
Yes.
So
there was one other person. There was another person.
I forgot
about my husband. Because I love you, husband.
Because my question would also be, like, how did all of this affect your relationship, or like how did you deal as a couple with all of your history in that topic?
Yeah. So I haven't asked him if I'm allowed to share this, but we'll see. I'll ask him afterwards. But he also struggled with this, so it was good to be able to talk about it and realize,
being understood.
Yeah, exactly. We were honest together. And I think it's true. I don't know why, but for men, there is shame as well, and there is stuff, but it's more kind of normal. It's like kind of accepted that it's an issue for men. And he was also able to get out of it. But it's true for women. I don't know why. It's something where we struggle. But it was really helpful to be with my husband, and we were so honest with one another, and we share everything together. So it was really helpful to know that he understood and I understood, and to be able to kind of do this journey together of sexuality, because it's a big thing, and it's a massive thing to get to know each other, to know that there's been trauma as well, and how do you get around it? Like accepting, I think as well in Christian sexuality, I've seen articles who say this, but it's like, no, you can't have sex. And then afterwards, like, yeah, go for it. And it's so tough because it's weird. Like, we've been like, no. And then all of a sudden it's like, go for it, have fun. And so it's such a process as well to be like, okay, well, now it's okay. Like, let's do this journey together and talk to each other and be honest. And I think that is also, I don't know, it's such a thing where couples don't even talk about sexuality together. So I don't know how other couples live their sexuality, but I think it's so important as a couple, if you can be honest about what you're living in sexuality, and talk about things that, like, oh, it reminded me of this, or I wasn't feeling good, or this doesn't work for me. I think it's so important that there is this honesty in a couple as well. And yeah, I think that really helps set people free as well, when you can really be honest and talk about things together. Yeah.
Do you still talk about all these things?
Yeah.
For how long are you married?
We're 11 years this year.
11 years? Yeah, congrats. Wow.
Thank you. Yeah, we got married really young. But yeah, we still talk about it, and it's amazing. I'm so thankful that for this relationship, because we have such an honest and open conversation. And so it helps because it means that we're not scared. If it doesn't, like, you know, we kind of like try and tell each other like, what's happening inside, what's good for us, what's not good. And so it helps to kind of get rid of the taboos and get rid of the shame and get rid of the things where like, oh, I need to have this, or I don't know. It makes things so much easier to be like, okay, let's get on the same page. Like, what are you really feeling? Yeah.
When you two started dating, were you both still like struggling with all of that topics, like with masturbation, or were you both kind of already out of it?
No, so both of us were really out of it. Me longer than my husband, I think. But no, we were both out of it. So it was nice to be out of it and know and understand each other. Yeah.
Was it shameful for you to tell him though, or was it an easy thing?
For sure, I think. Like I said, like Satan tries to isolate us, and so I remember feeling like I can't tell him certain things because otherwise, like, he'll leave me and like he won't love me anymore, or like he'll see me as this horrible person. And like I think that's why we get so scared and why we don't want to put things to the light. And even like I talked about this in the ICF Ladies Lounge conference, but taking my makeup in front of him, that was so tough for me because I really felt like if I took off my makeup, like he would be like, oh, who is this hideous person? Like, what? No, I can't do this. I'm out. And I think we are so scared of that in our lives, of taking off the mask, of being like, well, this is part of me. This is what's hiding in the shadows, and of people going, oh, whoa, that's too complicated, or oh no, I can't deal with this, or scared of the reaction of the other person, of being going, that's hideous. No, you know. Yeah. Do you feel like it's important to be able to like deal with your sexuality before you get into a relationship, like to be able to be fully free, or do you feel like it could also be okay to like date and figure it out while being in a relationship, because that's a difficult tension there. I think the most important thing is the person's heart. I think, but it's what the Bible says as well. All things stem from the heart of the person. And I think if someone is still having issues, but they have the heart and the searching for wanting to get out of things which keep them trapped, addictions and stuff, well, I think there's hope. There's always hope when there's this heart of repentance and heart of wanting to get free. Or I think that changes everything. I mean, I think it's really tough though, because I don't want to say something and like, you know, sometimes it's better to get out of it when you see that something is unhealthy and like it's not good. But I think it is possible if there's the communication and if there's this wanting to go on this journey with God. I think you can't, like, it's not black and white. You can't just close doors. You need to see how the person is, the heart of the person. Yeah. When you were having those years of like struggling with masturbation, how did it change your view of God, or like, or how did you feel like God was viewing you? What was the last question? How did you feel that like God was viewing you in those times? Like, how did God look at you? Okay. Did you feel like he was looking at you differently than he's looking at you now, or did you always feel like, or who was God for you in that time? I think I saw God as a strict parent, and so I think it was, I felt very ashamed, and like as if God is disappointed in me, and as if he was angry. And so that has taken years, and I'm still working on it, but I'm very hard on myself. And so when I make mistakes, even today, I'm so hard, because I think I had this view of God being like this angry dad who's like, she can't do it, you know, like she hasn't got out of it already. And that is tough to, you have to change your mindset, and you have to all of a sudden realize the loving look of God the Father, like with the prodigal son who has these eyes of love, and he's just so happy that you're coming to him. And so I've had to learn to and I'm still learning to change the way that God sees me, and to know that he looks at me with a look of love. Would you say you always
had this though, like even before the whole addiction with masturbation, or would you say it really changed with shame coming in?
It's so tough because I was young, so it's I don't remember much. I think it's really tough for me to know exactly what went on before, because I don't have many memories beforehand. But yeah, I guess from my memories, I've always had that kind of vision. I think of not wanting. I think I also have this fear of God, but it's too much because I really want to do well, and I want to. There's this tension in us where we want to be good people, and we know what we were destined for this Garden of Eden, this perfection and this wholeness. And when we get broken, then we're frustrated and we're scared, and we don't know what to do with it. And so I've always had this kind of fear of God, like with the judgment as well, and like, am I good enough? And I think it takes time before you really start to be like, no, Jesus is enough. He covers he's not going to be looking at me, he's going to be looking at Jesus and the fact that he's covered me. And so, I think it takes time before this kind of realization, this revelation sinks in and comes to heal the scars of trauma and the scars of sin.
What helped you to change your perception of God? Like or what still helps you today to also see the perspective of a loving God and not just a strict father or like a strict parent?
I think the church helps a lot. Just listening to messages and to, doing life together and community and seeing how other people see God. All of a sudden it kind of opens up your mind to be like, oh, you see God this way. Oh, like, okay, he's like this for you. And so I think that's why church is so important, because it opens your perspective and you realize that God is infinite. And so you don't I think we are reassured when we want to kind of put God in a box or think that he's a certain way, even if it's a bad box, but like, okay, that's how God is. And it reassures us because the infinite massiveness of God scares us, but at the same time it's what shows us that he's God and how good he is and how knowledgeable and how eternal he is. And so I think church is amazing because you see so many different stories, you see so many different pieces of the puzzle that come together, and you learn that maybe God isn't how you thought he originally was, and that he's so much better. And and I think I've gone to a psychologist as well. I'm still going to a psychologist, and I have a personal coach and courses. I've done so many different things where it's helped as well open my mind and realize kind of the love that he has for me, and not the judgment and the
Do you think also, because you were in a long period of shame, that affected your view of God and that he kept you from being able to even see other pieces of what God is like? Yeah,
for sure. When you're stuck in a circle, you can't get out, and so it's only once you get out of something that you start kind of you have the retrospect and you have the bigger vision, to see what happened and to see who God was in all of that, and how he was so much more than what you thought he was.
What would you say does shame to a person, like spiritually, relationally, emotionally? Because you were saying you were quite isolated. You only talked to your mom afterwards. You didn't talk to anyone throughout that whole season. So I feel like that must have been quite a long, lonely period probably. So what would you say is shame doing to us? Besides maybe the fact that it makes us lonely. But there is probably more effects of shame, right?
I think it cuts us off. It really, I think shame's goal is to cut us off. I think that's what happens in the Garden of Eden. It cuts them off from God's presence. And so it was the sin, but the shame comes and it makes it even bigger gap. And so I think the devil is very smart with shame, is that it makes us be cut off emotionally from others, spiritually from God, relationally. It really, its aim is to try and make you
be alone and not be in that community where all of a sudden you have those revelations from other people and you're like, oh, you too, okay, right, maybe we can work together to kind of work on it and encourage each other and carry each other through those periods. And so I think shame's goal is to keep us quiet, is to keep us cut off, is to keep us in the darkness, is to keep us oppressed. It's there just to keep us from going to the light, from seeing God's presence, from understanding things differently. Yeah.
Do you feel like shame even gave you a different view on how people could see you, or how you saw others, or like how did? Yeah,
for sure. I think I was quite cut off. I think when you have shame, you struggle to trust yourself, and you struggle to trust other people as well, because you've been hurt by other people, and so you don't want to get hurt again, so you don't want to let your barriers down, and so shame works in not allowing you to trust someone else, and you're also scared of yourself, of what you're capable of. You see the brokenness in other people, you see the brokenness in you, and so shame works in like, okay, don't trust that person, like don't trust yourself, you don't know what you could do, and it works in trying to silence us and not trusting other people. Yeah.
What would you recommend someone who is currently struggling with shame, or with addiction to masturbation, to porn, to all those kind of taboo topics? Like, what would you recommend someone?
I think the best thing is to talk, is to bring it to the light. I think, I seeing as I saw my dad, with retrospect, with trauma, I see the effect of it not being in the light had on us. What happened for us. And so I would recommend that you go talk to someone, like go like, not anyone. I think you need to know who are the people that you can trust, because when you've been broken and then you get broken again, it means that there's even more fear to go talk to someone. And so if there's someone you trust, go and talk to them, like go and talk to someone and get it out in the light, because there's something so amazing when you put stuff out in the light, where like the lies that you've had in your head, the kind of the clarity that you haven't had, like all of that all of a sudden kind of disappears, and all of a sudden you feel lighter. And so I think that's what we need, is we need to bring things to the light. We need to have the courage to go, okay, these are my issues, and let's talk about it, because that's the only way that things can start to get better. I think also I would say is that sometimes when you're in it, it's hard to see that there's a problem as well, depending on what issue there is. I mean, we're going to talk afterwards about anorexia, but whilst I was anorexic, I couldn't see I had a problem. I felt like it was normal. So I think the first step as well is that moment of realization of going, okay, I have a problem. And I think when you have that moment of realization and that moment of acceptance, often that is a massive part of the process, because when you get to that point, from then on you can start to build on it. But until that point, then you're still in the darkness, you're still in the fear and feeling lost.
You said that you went and talked to your mom about it. Like, what type of person would you recommend the people to talk to? Like, maybe if they don't have a mother where they feel like they can trust and they can talk about, like, what kind of people should they look out for to talk about these type of things?
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine kind of like what kind of situations people would have to try and give the best advice. But I think you need to try and find, it's hard, because sometimes it's hard to know someone really. And so, but if you have someone with whom you've done life, and you know that they've been there for you, that they love you, they haven't judged you in the past as well, I think those are the people. I think often we can also feel people and know kind of, if you've already seen some people who are vulnerable and who are open, then those people often are not going to judge you, because they know what it is to be in tough situations. So I think like
friends, if you have friends like that you trust, friends are amazing to talk to as well. Family who you trust as well. Or I know that there's even like phone lines that you can call with people who are specialized in certain things. And so I think sometimes if you don't have those people there are other solutions. I mean, sometimes it takes even more vulnerability because it's people you don't necessarily know. But I think there are solutions. I think God always offers us solutions and a way to be able to talk. But it's up to us whether we want to take that solution and we want to be courageous and speak out. Yeah.
You brought up yourself that you were anorexic.
Yeah.
How did that start, or what was that part of your journey with shame, or how was that connected to shame, or was it like before being addicted to masturbation, or while, or how did that play part of your life?
So no, that was after I'd been set free. So I became anorexic at around 15, 16 years old, I think it was. I think shame is like a process. I think I was freed from masturbation from like when I gave my life to Christ, but the shame kind of continues because there's always one that tries to make you feel kind of shameful and like who tries to question your worth and who tries to make you question your identity. And so I think that's like a life process to kind of to every day kind of reinstate the value that Christ gives you, that Jesus gives you. And it's a life journey. And so I still had that shame, and I'm still working on it with my psychologist, but so I still had that shame in my teenage years. And I had a lot of insecurity growing up. And so I think I came out of masturbation, and then I don't know, I can't remember exactly how it happened, but I know there was a lot of comparison and there was a lot of not feeling good enough. There was a lot of not knowing my worth. Even though I'd given my life to Jesus, it's a journey. And so I was still not feeling like I was good enough. And so I was still searching for who I was. And when I compared myself to others, I felt like I wasn't good enough. I wasn't thin enough. I wasn't pretty enough. I wanted to prove myself. I think as well, when we come out of sin or stuff that we know was not good, then we try and make up for it as well. Even if we've accepted Jesus, even if we know that Jesus covers it, like there's still part of us, like we kind of to and fro. We we go, yes, Jesus, I give him my life. And then, okay, you know what? But I do want to prove myself. I do want to show that actually I'm able to do this, or I can do that. And so I think there was still a part of me trying to prove myself and wanting to be the best or to be a better version of myself. And so that's why I think I fell into anorexia. I think as a teenager as well, you have a distorted view as well sometimes of your body and of other people, because I saw other people and I thought they're so much thinner than me, which in reality was probably not the case. I haven't really looked at photos, but I think we were probably all the same. But for me, I was just like, no, I'm not at their level. I need to get to that level. Yeah.
When was the moment that you realized you were having a problem?
So this was amazing. Again, a God moment, because people were, for some of my friends, I remember a particular lunchtime, they were like, are you okay? Like, you're not eating much, you're getting thin. I remember like them looking at me with eyes of concern, and I was just like, no, I'm fine. And I was really like, no, I'm fine. And even my grandma, when I came to Switzerland once, was like, oh, you've got thin. And I was like, no. I was so in denial. And I love theatre, so I did theatre, and we had to do an end-of-year theatre piece, and we chose to do it about anorexia. And it was crazy because I had to go in and look at the symptoms and kind of get into the role of anorexia to be able to do this anorexia piece.
Wow.
It was crazy. And so I started reading the symptoms and like there was like not eating a lot, like moving. What I used to do as well, I would move food around my plate to try and make it look like I'd eaten, but actually I hadn't eaten much. But like, you make it look like you've eaten. That was one of the symptoms. I didn't have my period for several months. That was one of the symptoms. There was so many like different symptoms, and all of a sudden, like the period one was the one that really got me, and I was just like, oh, because I hadn't had it for a few months, and I was like, what's going on? There's a problem, and I was like, wow, okay, and it was like the light bulb moment of going, I'm anorexic. And again, that acceptance of going, okay, I would like, what do we do now? Yeah.
People told you beforehand or asked you beforehand, hey, are you struggling with this? Yeah. Was it bothering you, and was it making it even more worse that you wanted to like try like, no, I'm not bothering? And was it making it even harder to come clean afterwards and be like, actually, I am struggling? Or was it for your situation actually even more of a help that you realized maybe they're right?
I think it was the light bulb moment of, oh my gosh, yeah, they were right. I do have a problem. And so, yeah, and again, I mean, I feel almost bad sometimes because I had very miraculous moments where I had these revelations and then I was set free. Oh. And I know how much it doesn't happen for everyone, and I think that's what's tough for me sometimes because, yeah, I know sometimes it's way tougher to get out of anorexia. You have to see specialists. You have to. There's so many like different things that you can do, and I don't know why, but I feel very blessed that when I have the realization, often afterwards, like I'm able to get out of it. Like sometimes it's a process, but I'm freed, and so I'm able to like kind of get better and be freed from it. And so, yeah, it was very much a moment of, yeah, they were right. I think it was like.
But did you tell someone? Like, did you talk to someone and be like, hey, I realized I struggled with this, or
not straight away again, which is crazy. But no, yeah, I don't know. I think as a teenager, you don't want to go and tell stuff to your parents. I don't know. I think that's like a... And so I think with retrospect as well, I can't believe that they didn't realize, but I guess, I don't know, I guess they just thought I was going through something, or I don't know. But yeah, so I didn't want to talk to them about it. And it's like a year later, I met a friend who was really amazing and who was someone who really helped me as well, and both of us were just able to journey together, and with her I was able to open up to her about it, and then I've met other people as well who have gone through similar things, and so that's been something where I've been able to talk about it more afterwards as well. But on the moment, yeah, no, I didn't.
Were you ashamed to talk about it?
I guess so. I guess I think when you realize that there's been a problem, you almost don't want it to be part of your story. Like I had this with my miscarriage as well, where I didn't want it. I was so frustrated to be like, that's not how I wanted my life to go. I don't want this to be in my story. No. And so I think there's times where you don't want it to be part of your story. And so it takes time to accept, to process, and to be honest as well, and be like, okay, let's call it what it is. Because I think sometimes we try and mask it, and we try and put other names on it, and be like, oh no, it was just a little eating disorder, or, you know, we struggle. And at the same time, it's good because sometimes we can go too quickly to the stickers and be like, oh, I was this, or was that. But sometimes we need to be honest and be like, okay, I have an addiction to masturbation. Let's be honest. Let's call it what it is. Okay, I was anorexic. Let's be honest. And I think it took me time at the beginning. I couldn't call it anorexia. I think that is a memory I have, is that I wasn't able to call it anorexia straight away because I was like, no. But the more kind of I read about it, I was like, it was anorexia. Like the symptoms were there. Like it was anorexia. Yeah.
Do you feel that it made you a lot more freer, or like it freed you from shame when you started to talk about this as well again?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, talking helps put words on it already. It helps make it clearer for you as well. I think when you start talking about things, it helps things to click into place in your mind, to realize what went on, to kind of go over things and realize, what happened. And so it did really help me to get free from it. And I think as well, like as soon as I realized that I was anorexic or had a problem with an eating disorder, I decided, because I was weighing myself every day, even sometimes twice a day, because on the Wii, there was the Wii at again millennial, the Wii console. No,
yes, no, I know. Okay, I actually do know.
So I was weighing myself a lot on that, and almost every day. And so when I realized, I was able to, I don't remember exactly the specific details, but I remember going, okay, like I think it was the Holy Spirit who kind of gave me a revelation of what needed to be put into place. And so I remember going, okay, you can't weigh yourself anymore. And it was like, okay. And so I stopped that straight away. And even today, like I know that I have to be careful, because it's something where you have a sensitivity to certain things. And so but what really helped is when you start to talk about it, you make yourself accountable as well. And so you have people who know what you're putting into place, and so that they can ask you questions, or they can see you in your life and see what you're doing as well, and you have that kind of safety pair of eyes who are like,
checks up on you once in a while.
Exactly, yeah.
So was it for you when you had this revelation of like, I need to stop weighing myself, or like the mindset and like I need to start eat proper again and whatever, was it a process though to do it, or was it really like this in a day you changed all and you started to eat normally, you didn't weigh yourself anymore?
It's so tough, because like some things, like I think some things have kind of like blurred, because it was a long time ago. I've got old. but I remember it being very quick. The fact that I think eating took time, because you don't want to, it's a habit that you've had. And I remember like there's certain things that I think took a little bit of time, but it was gradual and it got better. But weighing, I remember like I was like, okay, no, you can't go on it anymore. Like,
it was like
if
a commitment you made.
Exactly. Like stop. Like if you need to try and feel good in yourself, and like don't weigh yourself. And I think that was the best decision I could have made, because if not, you keep looking and having objectives, and because that's exactly what I had objectives to be like, okay, I want to be this point. And the problem with that is that you're never satisfied. And I think in our life, so often, like we think, like with Instagram or whatever, I've heard this before, but like you think, oh, if I have that many followers, then I'll be satisfied. But you're never satisfied. Like you get to that point and you always want more. Like there's always something in us that we have this hole where we're never satisfied. And I think that's why the only way we can be satisfied is in Jesus, who is the wholeness, who is the complete image, who is everything. And so, we so often chase after something because we think that's going to be the complete whole thing, but no. As soon as you get to that point, you just realize, and I think that's helped me in my relationship with Jesus as well, to just know so many things that I've run after. You just see that how much they don't satisfy you, how much they break you even more, and that he's the only thing that is stable, he's the only thing that is whole and that will satisfy you.
Do you still have up to today like accountability partners for struggles you have, or all these kind of things?
For me, that is like the thing I would tell people to get is people in your life. I have a personal coach, and she has helped me so much. I've never grown as much since I've had someone in my life, a personal coach with who I call every month. Sometimes there's been periods where there's been busy periods and you talk less, but like at least every month I try really and have this call with her, and you talk and you work on the issues, and it for me, that's the best way to grow, is to have someone with who you can be honest, who sees you and who loves you and who believes in you and hopes, for your future, and knows what can come as well.
So would you say if someone is struggling today, that like step one, talk to someone and keep that person maybe also as an accountability partner, or what would you recommend?
I think I feel very lucky because my personal coach is like a professional coach, and so I feel very lucky. I know how hard it is to find someone sometimes with who you know, who has the experience, or who is adequate, or like, you know, who you can really go to and will be able to help you. But yeah, for me, I think it's so important to try and find someone, and even if it's not someone professional, even if it's not someone, like, start with someone. And then if it's not that person, then God will guide you to someone else, or he'll open your eyes, or, you know, I think so often we're scared to try, because we're scared of it failing. Like, we're scared to open up to someone because we know that we're all broken, and so we've been broken by someone else, and we're like, well, what if that person breaks me? But God can use those situations of brokenness to make us even stronger. And so I think sometimes we need to be courageous, and we need to go, okay, let's talk about it. I think, like, pray, ask the Holy Spirit as well, and be like, okay, I think this is the person that I should talk to it, and try. And yeah, I mean, the problem is that in this earth, we're all so imperfect, and we're all like, we all get hurt by so many different people. Even the people closest to us hurt us. And so I think sometimes we just need to be courageous and think, okay, let's try, and let's try and be vulnerable and honest with people that we trust, and God can use the brokenness as well. Yeah.
You said that when you struggled with all of that, you were so full of shame that you couldn't talk to someone. Yeah. Now you're talking to me. You're talking to the whole podcast.
I don't know what I'm doing now.
I'm so sorry. No, but how did you become free from shame, or like, what helps you to stay free as well? Because I feel like shame is often connected to lies that the enemy tells us. So like, what helped you to deal with lies, or helps you also up to today? How do you stay free? How do you stay you know, free of shame?
I think working with my personal coach, seeing a psychologist has really helped me as well. But all of a sudden, like I said, growing up in the secondary trauma environment, I think I saw how trapped it kept, like, my dad, like even my mum, on certain issues. They came at the same time. They came from a generation that, like, I totally understand, because they did the best that they could with what they had. And so it was very much not a thing to go see a psychologist, not a thing to kind of like open up. And but I can see, like, what it would have changed if they'd been able to kind of, how freeing it would have been, you know, and how it would have changed the certain things in the family. And so I think that's where my passion has come from, vulnerability, in working on myself with my personal coach and psychologist. I see how it's freeing me. And I see how it, like, talking at the ladies' lounge, I see how certain people have been so touched by it, and I'm like, yeah, if we can just let down our masks, if we can stop trying to be these perfect people, and these people who need to know everything and have all the answers and be God, then maybe we might be able to go forward. But until that point of putting down those walls, then we're just going to stay spiraling and trying to be God and trying to figure it out ourselves. And that, I've seen it doesn't work. And so I think that's why I'm so passionate about it. I see the effect it's having on me. I see the transformation, the fact of talking about things, of putting things to the light, of seeing the parts as well that was me, you know, like my brokenness, what the things I did wrong, like it hurts. I think that's why so many people don't want to face things. And I remember when I had my miscarriage, it took me a while before we were able to work on the miscarriage, because that's why I started to go to see a psychologist. But it because it's painful. All of a sudden I had to relive the experience of the miscarriage, and it is so painful to re-look at certain traumas and look them in the eye and be like, okay, like let's deal with this now. And I think that's why, and I get it. I get why it's so hard for certain people to re-look at certain things. But I know, and I'm convinced that that's the only way through it.
you have to kind of face it to go through it. Like you can't go around it. If you want to get through it, you have to face it, and you have to deal with it. And so I think I've seen how you need to face the pain, and yeah, you have to face it. Yeah.
I feel like some of the fights are also daily fights, like little lies that come up.
Yeah.
How do you deal with like lies on the daily or throughout the day?
That's tough. I think life is such a journey and such a process, and I think if someone ever says they've arrived, it's that they're lying. Because it's just, sometimes like you get to a point where you think, I've mastered this, and then all of a sudden like there's another thing that comes up and you're like, seriously, why? Like why? And so I think, I mean, this is what all pastors, like good Christian people say, but like just time with God is crazy important. And recently, like we've had a crazy few months. And the first thing the first thing that you get rid of when your life is crazy and your life is busy, is time with God, or like your couple, or like, you know, like the first things that you kind of cut is those important things. And recently I've just been thinking, like, why are we cutting the most essential thing, like the Bible, the place where it tells us our identity, where it tells us our past, our present, our future? Like, why are we cutting that stuff? And I think that for me is so important. Is that's where we can help face those lies, you know. And like with my kids, we tried. We've been a little not as good recently, so I'm gonna be honest. But we've been trying to like learn Bible verses together with the kids, and it's amazing because all of a sudden you have those Bible verses in your head. When you have those lies, when you have those thoughts, you have them there, and you can kind of lean on them. Or when you have anxiety, because we learned the be still and know that you are God, those passages, and God is my refuge and an ever-present help in trouble. And so those verses help when you have those moments where you're struggling, where you have shame, where you have lies. You can be like, wait a second, what does God say about me? What does Jesus think about me? How is God looking at me? How is he viewing me? And so I think the Bible is essential. Yeah.
Maybe to close all of this up, because this was a huge topic, what would you tell a 19-year-old boy or a 19-year-old girl who feels dirty or stuck or ashamed, who struggles with some sort of addiction, some sort of all of these kind of topics that are taboo topics? What would you tell them?
You're not alone. You're not alone. And Jesus sees you as whole, as pure, as white. He loves you, and he wants the best for you. He wants the freed version of you, the version that we were meant to be, and that is why he came. That's why he died at the cross. That's why he came, and to forgive all our sins, so that we can go together in God's presence and not feel like that. And so, yeah, just don't allow the enemy to plant lies into your head of the fact that it's too late, of that you can't turn back around again, that you're too lost, you're too far gone. It's lies. There is no place too deep, no place too far that God will not come and get you. There's so many stories in the Bible, but like with the sheep, the 100, and with the sheep that's gone missing, and he goes and finds, there's no place that you can go and escape from God's presence. And that is a lie that the enemy wants to tell us, and that we're too far gone. And no, like there is always hope, because there's God and there's Jesus, and his death at the cross just covers it all. Yeah,
Come
and his
on.
resurrection. Yeah.
What a preach. Thank you so much for your honesty, for your vulnerability, for your even opening up your home. We're actually in your house right now, so
Thank you for making me look better.
So thank you so much for being so vulnerable, so honest. It's an honor to have had you on our podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.
And this was our special episode with Emanuelle on English, and I'm glad to see you on our next podcast. We put out our own podcast on YouTube once a month, every Sunday. So just look out for another video of our podcast, and we're excited to hear what you're thinking, what your thoughts are in our comments. See you next time.